Good day, sir. So today we will explain and introduce to you the improvement of your simple bank application, and the title of the application we made. We we improve the security, and title securing an existing banking applications, security assessment and improvement of a web-based banking application. So the group members, Belgado, Don Robert Lima, and me, Marevel Regaspi. And this is the web app, and I will introduce the our application. Is that the simple banking app is a web-based application designed to facilitate secure and efficient basic banking, and operates for both regular users and administrators, and developed using Flash framework and powered by MySQL database. The app allows users to create accounts, log in securely, manage their personal and financial information, and perform transactions such as sending money to other users. Each user is assigned a unique account number and can view their current balance and transaction history. The application features robust security mechanism, including password hashing with encrypt session and management with flash login, as the CSRF protection and rate limiting to prevent abuse. Administrators and managers have special access right to monitor user activity and manage the system, and the bank end is configured through environment variables for flexibility, access different deployment environments. And lastly, we structured a skill schema, ensures data integrity and perform through the use of indexing and foreign key relationship. And the objectives is that um, provide secure authentication and authorization mechanism. So in this part, you can not log in without your password and also your Gmail. And next is enable user to perform banking transactions safely. And the user can perform transaction um, to other user by safe transaction without any um, error or any problems. And next is ensure administrative oversight by admin interface. And the admin can the one to active the account of a user, and lastly the hardened application against common web vulnerabilities such as CFRF, rate limiting issue, and SQL injection. And this is the in this part the original application features. So user authentication using pass login and crypt for password hashing, transaction login and user account management, CFRF protection with plus WPF, and rate limiting using Flash limiter to prevent abuse of endpoints, and the database backend with MySQL using SQL Alchemy. Alchemy. Okay. And in this part, I will explain the technology stack. And in this part is the layer. We have backend, database, front end, forms, security, external APIs, and version control. And in technology library, in the backend, we have a Python. The purpose is the main program language. And the plus is the lightweight web framework. And the flash limiter, rate limiting to prevent brute force attacks, is to have, in this part is to secure the transaction of the user. And in a flash login, a session-based user authentication. And the flash by crypt, password hashing and salting. And in this work utility library for secure password comparison, and the HMAC, secure comparison to prevent timing attacks, and Python .mb for environment variable management, And in the layer of database, we have NYSQL for relational database system. And this is the for SQL schema for ORM for database interaction. And data plus SQL schema is integration for SQL schema with plus. And in the layer of front end, we have also the to have more styling and more colorful background is that the HTML and CSS for markup and styling, Bootstrap 5 for responsive UI framework, and Jav2 is for templating engine for plus, and JavaScript is for front-end interactivity. And the layers of form we have Flash, FTF, AWTF for integration of TF form with Flash for CFRF protected forms, and FT forms for form handling and input validation. And in security layer, we have CFRF protection for built into Flash WTF to prevent CFRF attacks, and Flash limiter to protect roots from excessive access rate limiting, and password hashing is to secure password storage. So in this part, this is the security you cannot if you log in, you you will go to the main, and if you log out and you cannot log in automatically because of the protect because of the security. And the internal APIs is PSGC API for features Philippine Standard Geographic Code Data, and the version control or get store code management, and GitHub and GitLab for remote repository hosting.
Hello, good day. So in this part, we're gonna discuss about the security assessment findings that we found on the original website. So according to the OWASP security QA report, which I've run, they identified these vulnerabilities. So first thing is the content security policy was not set, application, and then so prevents access and data injection attacks, and then missing anti-tweet jacking headers. Yes. Then for the low priority vulnerabilities, we have application error disclosure, application reveals internal elements that could help attack technology, cookie without secure flag, cookie without synthetic attribution, cross-site domain, information disclosure. These are the low priority vulnerabilities. They always found. And then aside from that, by virtue of overview, we also found some vulnerabilities. So first thing we have is weak password practices. The password are stored with minimal validation, and then I use weak default credentials, which could increase the risk of authorized unauthorized access. And then on the transfer or the uh, transfer of money financial calculation risk, they use floating point values for balance calculation, which could lead to rounding errors. Then API error handling, access vulnerability, escape from data transmission, no HTTPS enforcement, pwedeng could be intercepted during the browsing of the website. CSRF issues, no session management, incomplete, updated dependencies, and the lack of audit log. So here is a comprehensive security improvements implemented on the vulnerabilities that we found on the source codes, and then the improvements that we made to bolster the security of the website. So let's start with the PY. So in the original code, they have implemented that if the secret key was not found, they just randomly generate a value using secrets token X. Though this will be good at first glance for developing such the case that we don't have a environment variables yet that are set, but it will reduce vulnerability in production because as we reload the website, it will fail to reload because the secret key was changed again. Then we have the class application. So here we created a environment file to securely store the environment variables. So this the Uh, the environmental variables are not hard coded into the uh, source code. Now let's go for the route pass. This handles the routing of uh, all of, or the browsing routing of the website. So on the login page, we have seen that there's a timing attack vulnerability in password comparison. So in the original code, we just compare the SHA to previous password using a simple equality check. So here's your SHA super, which allows for timing attacks where attacker measures the response time to imperfect partial matches and undermine password security. So what we made is we imported from HMAP, and then the comparison is constant time. So this mitigates timing attacks, ensures that the comparison takes place at the same time, regardless of the matching prefix time. And then we address the lack of CSRF protection. So we added it through classical WTF with forbidden tag. Prevents malicious site from forwarding post requests to the login inputs. Now let's proceed to the register. So we found that there is no email domain validation. So temporary emails can be accepted. Disposable emails are allowed. So original code accept any email address without putting disposable or temporary email. It can lead to fake account spam or ad abuse. So we improve it by using the most common temporary email services, and then if those domains are found on the email inputted by the user, they are not allowed to be an account. So they added the list, which could be expanded as the website run on its deployment. Number two, no duplicate username or email check. The original website does not check if the username or the email was already registered on the database, which could cause database errors or allow multiple accounts with the same credentials. So we just put a query check. If the email or username exists, they will just be flagged as invalid, and then just need to make a different email or username. Next the weak password policy. There's no complexity enhancement. So anything goes for the password on the original website. So to improve that, we added password strength tracker or complexity requirement. So we have, this must be minimum 8 characters, 1 uppercase, 1 lowercase, 1 digit. Then informative error messages. These are not these are improved. Well, this is just for the user experience. Now for the transfer, this is on the user side when you are transferring money. So there's no validation of transfer type input. So that it did not verify if the transfer type contained only allowed values. The surname account is could be done if invalid types are passed. So here we explicitly validated to ensure that the transfer type is either only the two, username or account. So there's no other transfer type that could be added, only those two. Then recipient enumeration, when the recipient was not found, the system responds differently, potentially leaking information about the username's account. So when we are flashing errors, the original was indicating the what kind of error was flashed. Here we just make a generic message to not reveal the what kind of it, to not reveal which credentials are invalid. Then order of balance check. So on the original website, the flow of the balance check and recipient status was flipped. We flipped it and they improved so that the program or the website will just check if the recipient is available. So then it will do the balance check, not the other way around. Now, after the when you're done transferring the money, there will be a execute transfer. So this will handle it or verify if the execute will undergo. So execute transfer. First thing we found is that insecure handling of invalid forms. The original code only preceded if the form validate function passed, but did not handle the failure path explicitly. Users could bypass this function and receive no useful feedback, so they don't know what happened if such the case that they bypass the intended behavior of the website. So what we did is we try to let's say for example for the amount there's a validate if the amount was right. So the transfer amount must be a valid float greater than 0 and below a subtract. So this prevents negative or zero transfers and mitigates abuse such as draining accounts or service disruption mainly due to extreme values. Then here there is recipient enumeration risk. Flashing specific errors like recipient not found could allow an attacker to probe for valid usernames or account numbers through timing and message analysis. So, much just like before, we just make a generic error message. So this prevents user enumeration by one. Difference is valid bonus to um, disrupt the brute force guessing attempt. So we added 1.5 delay on the error message. Now for the admin, there's a vulnerability with terms of CSR risk via get request for state changing operations. Activate user use the get method to modify server-side data. So an attacker could embed image tags or links to perform CSR attacks and trigger unintended state changes. So for example, using the image tag, they went to deactivate user immediately, bypassing the intended behavior. So the way we did that is instead of get, we used post. Mitigate CSRF risk by requiring deliberate form submissions with CSRF tokens. Account enumeration and duplicate entries in create account. So in the admin/create account, there's the original website. There's no validation to check whether there's an existing username or email during the user creation on the admin side. This could create multiple accounts, duplicate accounts, and potential errors to the website. So as such, we just made a query filter for that, checking which checks for existing user account, prevents database integrity issues, and stop malicious or accidental application risk conversion. And then when the admin has made a new account, it was defaulted as active, which is no accounts were automatically marked as active, no vetting or moderation by an administrator, risk of abuse through admin created accounts. So what we just did is make the status pending when creating an account. So in such case, if an admin were to create multiple accounts through this feature, other admins could review and then they should activate or deactivate based on the credentials. So as an approval workflow ensuring admins verify users before they can access the system. Now, on the admin/deposit, there's a missing validation on deposit account. The amount input was not validated to ensure it was a positive or within a reasonable range. So this may allow for manipulation of account balances such that instead of transferring, you just added more money to your account. While excessive amounts could lead to financial errors, abuse. So we improved it. We made a range of amount allowed to be deposited. So non-negative deposit amounts are processed. This blocks malicious inputs such as zero negative values and prevents extreme values that could cause workload. Now that's all of the improvements that we made. Because due to time constraints, other sensitive projects such as manager API and admin and user was not thoroughly audited. This could be prioritized on the next round of review to ensure proper access control and input validation are in place. That's all.
Ongoing security reviews are essential because threats evolve constantly. New vulnerabilities are discovered, dependencies age, and user behavior shifts. Regular audits help us to identify and address weaknesses before they are exploited, ensuring we stay ahead of attackers rather than reacting after the damage is Donn. Security is a continuous process of assessment, remediation, and refinement. So, equally important, the layered defenses. This means combining multiple protective measures to reduce the risk of compromise even if one layer is bypassed. The key components include the input validation. Input validations prevents instructions attacks by ensuring only expected data enters the system. Strong authentication. Strong authentication ensures only legitimate users can sensitive functionality. Rate limiting. Rate limiting towards the brute force and abuse attempts by restricting excessive request. And most importantly, the CSRF protections. CSRF protections blocks malicious sites from furthering requests on a user behalf. So while significant improvements have been implemented, such as the enforcing that env file or in the environment configuration, setting the input validation, and securing the key points, several critical security measures remain pending. To further enhance the system and resilience and operational integrity, we recommended the following actions to be prioritized. First, implemented the logging for repeated failed attempts. So, by monitoring the login failures and trigger alerts after a threshold reach. So, by applying the rate limiting on authentication endpoints. So, by use flash limiter or reverse proxy configurations to restrict request rates. Also, add audit for logging for administrative actions. So, record admin events like user credits, deposits, and approvals with timestamps and actor action details. Aside from that, continue regular security code reviews. So, should be scheduled quarterly code reviews with a dedicated security team or the external auditor. Also, audit remain high-risk roles such as the manager, API, admin, and edit user. So, perform a full security review, focusing on authentication, authorization, and input handling. So, by complementing these remaining steps, we significantly reduce the attack surface, enhance the compliance posture, and build long-term trust in the platform. So, yan. That's all. Thank you. So, kung ikaw yung tatanungin ko, ano ba yung mga recommendations mo when it comes to this? So, comment down below. That's all. Thank you for listening, guys.